Friday night, wanted to get cozy and watch a movie, so I go in the closet and get a blanket. I realize I'm probably going to be a little hungry while the movie's going on, so I go in the pantry and get a snack, except options were super low. So I finally find a bag of chips, and I'm like, okay. I open the refrigerator, rush, pour myself a tall glass of lemonade, run down these stairs. Guys, I'm so excited to relax. I fling my moccasins off. I'm getting my body comfortable. I'm going to be in paradise, y'all. And then guess what? I realize I don't have a coaster.
That's over. That was painful to watch. If you don't want to end up like the girl in the previous video and want to gain clout with the creative homies, then stay right where you are and don't put down that remote. The Humanities and Mass Communication Department at Norwalk Community College presents How Do I, the instructional series that shows you life hacks to snap right back. Now, join our host.
Hello, and thank you for joining us for today's edition of How Do I, the show that aims to teach you everything your parents didn't. On today's edition of How Do I, we will learn how to make coasters. Yup, coasters. No one likes a pig anyways, so let's make a coaster. In today's episode, we will learn about epoxy, proper mixing technique, curing, and set times, and a little bit of design. But I'm only a news anchor, so if you really want to learn how to make a coaster, we'll have to watch the episode.
The materials you will need are a silicone mold, measuring cups, a butane torch, a tongue depressor, epoxy, materials to decorate your coasters with, and lastly, a box. It is important that whatever room you are working in is about 70 degrees. Too hot and the epoxy will be too runny. Too cold and the epoxy will be too thick to mix.
Once you have all your materials, it's time to begin.
You're going to want to start by bringing your silicone mold, tongue depressor, measuring cups, and epoxy to the side. It is important to know epoxy is measured by volume and not by weight, and for this project we will need 8 ounces. I've decided to use Easy Cast epoxy because it is the best for small molds. Epoxy is actually a result of mixing 2 other liquids together, the white bottle which contains resin and the black bottle which contains hardener. It is also important to know epoxy is measured by a 1-to-1 ratio, with resin always being the first in the cup. For this project we will need 4 ounces of resin with 4 ounces of hardener. Once you get that in your cup, you are going to want to thoroughly mix it for about 2 to 3 minutes. When you're mixing, make sure to scrape the sides of the cup. We need to make sure that everything is well mixed together, otherwise our coasters won't cure and they'll be super sticky when we take them out of the molds.
Sweet niblets. Did you see the flick of that wrist? Almost made me break a sweat. Let's see what we do next.
When you've finished mixing, you're going to want to take out your butane torch. This is going to help us get rid of any bubbles from the mixture after we pour. Before we pour, it's important to consider just how thick or thin.
Jenna, are you trying to pour up after this shift? Oh, sorry, I didn't see you there. Yes, I promise I was paying attention. In fact, I think we're just about ready to decorate those things.
Now the fun part, decorating. I decorated my first coaster using alcohol inks. I took some colors I like and placed them all throughout the coaster. Thinner coasters make for muddier colors. When your coasters are drying, it is imperative that the mold stays level and untouched. Should something happen, it could result in an unwanted alteration of design or a coaster that did not fully cure, rendering it unusable. I decorated my next coaster using bottle caps. I took some caps that I liked and placed them in the mold. Once they were where I wanted them, I placed more epoxy on top to ensure that they were fully submerged. I decorated the last coaster using sprinkles, but utilizing the technique from the bottle caps. Once your coaster is decorated to your liking, cover it with a box and leave it alone for 24 hours. Once the time is up, feel free to take the coaster out of the mold. Look at that bad boy. Keep in mind it takes 72 hours for coasters to fully cure, so technically there's 48 hours left. If you find that your coasters are a little rough at the bottom, you could sand them. If you find the coasters are curved, place a heavy object that's flat, like a book, on top, and leave it alone for the remaining 48 hours. Bada bing, bada boom, baby. That's how we do it.
Good God Almighty, I have seen the light. That announcer was right. I sure am going to get all the clout from the creative homies. We have hoped you to enjoy today's edition of How Do I? Utilize today's tutorial and pass down from generation to generation. I'm your host, Kayla. Thank you and have a good day.
This has been How Do I? With your host, Kayla. Directed by Victoria. I'm your announcer, Craig. How Do I is a Norwalk Community College student production.